You're watching Public Affairs. Berkowitz is my name, and politics is our game. And we will be doing lots of politics and public policy this evening because we have as our guest Charles Charles was in the business of broadcasts for like 45 years, right?
Journalism.
Just broadly.
That's a little different than broadcasting.
Yeah.
Broadcasting is a business. Journalism is a profession.
Now it's all entertainment. But Charles was there at the creation.
Good line.
He was there when it was journalism.
Yeah.
He is still a journalist. So he retired once. Well, look, he was there 30 years in Chicago, general assignment reporter, the last 10 years as the chief political editor at ABC7, which he so modestly says was the most watched TV station in town.
In the Midwest.
In the Midwest.
In the country between New York and Los Angeles.
Okay.
How about that?
And so then he retired. But Charles is like others who retire. They retire and they retire. He likes going away parties, okay? So as soon as he retires, he's going to start this, we'll get to this thing, this really unique thing that...
It's very difficult to retire after doing what I did.
You can't stay away.
You can't stay away.
So somebody called you.
I still get up in the morning at 5:30, 6 o'clock. My wife is my witness, and I'm start reading. And I'm reading papers from around the country, reading, of course, the local papers. I've got the television set on, and you can't get away from it. And guess what? I'm 18 months since I left ABC7. I'm still having deadline dreams.
Oh, that you got a deadline up and you're short, you haven't done it.
Yes.
You said same thing.
I have deadline dreams.
Boys and girls, if you remember back when you were in college and you graduate, and for years and years, you will always be worried. There's an exam coming up. You'll be 92, and you'll wake up in the morning and say, oh my gosh, there's an exam, and I didn't even go to one class.
Right.
Okay?
So
this is the same thing.
I'm having deadline.
You have a deadline.
Dreams. I have a deadline, and I'm in the car, or I'm running to the station.
Yeah.
How much time do I have?
Yeah, you're on air. It's going to be live, and you're just not going to make it.
I'm not going to make it.
And so,
rarely did that happen.
You made it all the time.
I made it all the time, and if there was some outrageous, every few years reason that I couldn't make it, I always called ahead and said, hey, we're in trouble on this one.
And then somebody covered.
And someone covered for me.
Okay.
But I still have deadline dreams today, and I don't make it in these dreams.
So look, we can go on about... I want to get to it because we can talk about VON.
I don't know, I need an analyst maybe.
How long were you at VON
And
recently?
that was... I was called at WVON, which is the historic black radio station.
What does VON stand for?
The Voice of the Negro.
Right.
At one point,
a lot of people don't
now
realize
it's the Voice of the Nation.
Oh, they've changed that. They've made it modernized.
But I was called a few weeks after I left ABC7 by Melody Spann Cooper, who is the president there, and she says, look, I need help. I had a morning show host quit. I put a new morning show host on, and I need someone to help him.
This guy is like new at this
He's new at the gig. So I came there, and it was a morning show. So I had to get up every morning at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to prep, to get ready to go on this morning show where we talked about...
What time did you get up?
I would get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's like early.
That's really early. For a guy my age, that is too early. What time did you go to sleep? I'd have to go to bed at like 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. And so my wife would, I'd miss her in the evening.
Yes.
And then I'd get up early and I'd leave the house before she got up to go to her work.
Not a sensible way of living, and you lived that way
and
for how long?
And I was retired
long?
For 15 months.
15 months.
And I eventually said, look, I can't do this anymore. Physically, this is not
So that
me.
was just a few months ago?
That was a few months ago.
Mays Jackson, your co-host, is still there?
He's still there, and he's working by himself, doing a fine job.
He didn't get anybody. He's just like, okay.
He's doing a lot of different people, as I understand it.
He's guesting people.
But he's doing a fine job, and, Mays is able to do it by himself. He's capable of that.
At this point, he doesn't need you.
He doesn't need me.
Okay. And you're going to start, you're in the midst of starting ChicagoDrum.com.
Yes,
right?
we're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that. What are we talking about, Charles?
Well, we're going to talk about. I don't know. You called me, man.
Okay. Well, let's talk. Okay, the most important thing to you, Charles, because is what? What were you thinking you wanted to do so much when you were at ABC7 and you couldn't do? You think? You think I know?
I think you want
You
to
think
get
go
more.
ahead,
I
sorry.
think commentary.
Commentary.
I think putting
opinion.
Well, no, I call it commentary because it's more of a matter of putting the news in some perspective.
Oh, but
In larger perspective. And I think that enough of that is not done in this day and age. We're not putting the news in perspective.
or in context.
I mean, or it just in
Same
historic perspective.
like what is surrounding the event you're reporting on is the really hard thing to do. Anybody could go over there and say there's a fire.
Right.
The trick is there's a fire there, but just before that fire started, you set the scene.
Or maybe there were 3 or 4 fires in the same neighborhood in the preceding months. So
There's a
maybe
pattern.
that's how you put it in perspective.
Yeah.
It's not just a fire, it's part of a larger series of fires. Good example would be the shooting at the synagogue.
Right.
That incident is being taken as the beginning and end of something, or the beginning of... No, we had this happen at a black church in Charleston, South Carolina,
About a
during
year
the
ago.
Obama administration.
Oh, it was more than a year ago.
Yeah, but it was Trump rhetoric the reason for that one?
Probably
No,
not.
Probably not, because Trump wasn't around at that point. But I mean, I'm hearing this synagogue shooting only discussed in terms of Trump rhetoric.
They
when
forgot
in
about
fact,
yeah.
we've got these far right-wing weirdos doing this stuff in other places and have done it in other places.
Could you, if you had been there a few weeks ago when this happened at the Tree of Life, if you had been the longtime ABC7 reporter, longtime political editor,
Sure.
and they called you, say, Charles, why don't you report on this? It's a national event. Could you have said what you've just said?
Yeah, absolutely.
You could have.
Absolutely. I could have put it in perspective. And I tried to do that throughout
Okay.
my career, putting events in perspective. The Cavanaugh case, for instance.
Right.
You have
Brett.
a young woman who
Yeah.
made an allegation against this judge, this
Right.
man. Maybe we could put it in the context of white women have been making charges against people for a long time. What about Emmet Till? Wasn't that a white woman who
Made
said
some
something
charge about
him?
Emmet Till.
Emmet Till and
Tell people about who Emmet Till.
yeah.
They may not know. I know you
people
know.
who Emmet Till
But not everybody
was
knows.
lynched, murdered, because he apparently whistled at a white woman in 1955.
And he wasn't just a
Mississippi.
guy whistling at a white woman. What was his color?
He was black.
So a black guy whistling at a white woman in what year?
1955.
1955, Mississippi. That wasn't so long ago. That's like, okay, about 65
But I
years
mean,
ago.
an allegation.
That was terrible. That was
it was
terrible
terrible.
in
It was terrible.
Mississippi.
But
it doesn't happen,
in-
right?
what do you mean
It's not,
doesn't-
it's not supposed to
You
happen.
had another case in the
A
19...
black guy, Charles, you wouldn't whistle at a white
No,
woman if you were in Mississippi.
here's my point.
Yeah.
Here's
okay.
my point. When you make an allegation
Yeah.
against someone, for black people to hear it done without evidence, and just an allegation taken to convict someone, that's a slippery slope, and we know that. The Scottsboro Boys, another case back in the 1930s,
Right.
where these young black men were accused of raping this white woman. They didn't do it,
They
but
didn't.
she made the allegation,
That's
and
all
that
you
was
need.
enough
That's all you-
to send these young men to prison for a long time. So we understand the slippery slope that's involved in making an allegation that is only an allegation and people being punished one way or the other for it. So you put some of these events today in historic perspective, and then I think people have a different way of looking at them.
Well, did Emmet Till have the presumption of innocence?
Absolutely not.
Did those two guys who you mentioned going back?
The Scottsboro Boys?
Yeah, did they
No.
have a presumption? Well, wait
No,
a
they
second.
got no presumption of innocence.
Doesn't it sort of say it here in the U.S. Constitution?
It says that, but I'm saying we understand the slippery slope.
You understand,
We understand the
okay.
slippery
You
slope,
say
and I
we-
think that black folks,
Black
we
folks,
understand,
okay.
the black folks who know our history
Yeah.
understand the slippery slope. So when you call this guy Cavanaugh out and you say that he did this or he did that, and you don't have any evidence, and I'm supposed to take this woman's word for it, as some politicians were insisting that we do. They say, we believe her, we believe. No,
No, but
we
wait.
just can't believe in America. You've got to have proof, evidence, and then make a decision.
Well, but you tell me you would have said all of what you just said if you were the ABC7
I could have put it in
reporter?
perspective. I think that the
You
reporter
would have
has
had
a
to tone
responsibility.
down. You would have had to tone down what you just said
No,
at ABC7.
not really.
Really?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I had some great editors at ABC7.
But did anybody?
I had people that let me do what I wanted to do, but I'm just using those examples.
Yeah.
I can use a zillion different
No, but
examples
here's my point.
of how we're not putting the news in perspective.
No, but my point is, I don't think anybody at local or national, ABC7, CBS2, NBC5, PBS, Channel 9, Local Fox, did. I don't think anybody. And I'll tell you what, here's my challenge. If any of those stations did it, if Mary Field, you got somebody at TTW who did it, she's what, the executive director of Chicago Tonight? If somebody at 7 did it, you come on this show and we will make effing news, okay? Really? Effing news. We will, because if you say you did it, boy, we'll put that clip up there. But it didn't happen, did it, Charles?
Well, maybe it's because I'm not working anymore, but...
Well, but you're the only guy who could do it? Couldn't they have somebody else?
Well, I don't know. That maybe hearing this, maybe they'll look a little closer at situations before they just report
They don't.
what happened
Because you know why.
in a silo, and they look at it in a bigger picture.
Why won't that happen? Not just because most of those folks are white, notwithstanding all their claims of diversity, and maybe it takes a black guy, because you're saying you could identify with Cavanaugh.
I could identify with Cavanaugh.
Because you were a black guy who, and you knew other blacks who suffered the same thing because they were black. And he was suffering it because he is a conservative. And 90% of the media at those broadcast stations and at the 2 cable stations, CNN and MSNBC, 90%. They are Democrats. How do we know?
Well, that's his opinion.
No, but they give money. We can
God,
trace who
I mean,
do they give money to. That's public. And these folks, I don't give money. Maybe I'm cheap, but I don't think you should as a journalist.
But let's
do you
go
give
back
money?
to the original
Do you,
point.
just answer that
No,
one
I don't
question.
give money to politicians.
Because
I
you can't,
I
because you're a
can't.
journalist.
Right.
Okay.
But back to the original point.
Okay.
I think that you can do commentary and perspective in this day and age and be effective as a journalist. And just because you don't report the event in a silo, and you look beyond the event to put it in some kind of perspective.
Okay. So here's our good friend, Hermaine Hartman, right?
Hermine Hartman, yes.
This book is Indigo, which is the name of her publication. Legacy Black Lux, am I pronouncing that right? 110 African American icons of contemporary history. 110. Now I ask you, Charles Thomas. You said you've seen this book. You haven't read it.
Yes, I have.
page to
I
page?
bought the book.
So you bought the book.
Yes, I bought
Must
the
have
book.
cost you a pretty penny.
$150.
Wow.
Great
Hermaine.
book, though.
I had her
Worth
on my
every
show,
penny
and
of it.
we still owe her a show. Hermaine, come on the show.
Worth every
See that?
penny.
Okay, because we're going to talk about it. But I started reading it, and you said it's a picture book, but there's a little bio
Sure.
of these people. So who is the most controversial African American that you know who's a big name? Controversial. He should be, in my view, we'll see your view, more controversial than he is. He makes statements from time to time. He's now like probably 85. He's been around a long time. Let's see as I tell you more and more, hint, hint, see if you can guess it. He stands for some of the same things I think you believe in, self-sufficiency.
This is contemporary, living.
Yes,
Louis
contemporary.
Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan. He is in this book. You didn't see his bio? Now, if you were writing the bio,
I don't remember every bio in there.
Okay,
Go
but if
ahead.
you were writing the bio, what are some of the controversial things you would feel obliged to put in there as a journalist? Anything?
In that book?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't write, Hermine Hartman's book.
No, you. I'm just saying, say you were doing a book about 110 icons, and you decided he's, number one, is he an icon?
Absolutely.
Is Louis Farrakhan an icon?
Among contemporary African Americans, yes.
Okay, so right to the point, is he an anti-Semite?
I don't think so.
Really?
No.
So
Absolutely not.
Did he say recently, very recently, I think he said, he's talking about Jews as termites. Now, do you think that was like, do you think termites is just like a complimentary sign of affection? Charles, if I said you were a termite, do you think that would be a sign of affection?
I wouldn't know what the context of the comment was. I'm serious.
You wouldn't?
I would
You
not
do
know what the content of the comment would be.
If I said that about you.
If you
But
said I was a termite trying to destroy the house
what do they
of
do?
unfair journalism, then thank you.
If
it's a compliment.
if he says Jews are termites,
I
and
don't
it's
know
Louis
the
Farrakhan,
context of that comment. I really don't.
and you don't think he's an anti-Semite?
I don't think he's an anti-Semite. I think he is a pro-black leader. He's pro-black. I don't think he's anti anything. He's pro-black.
If Donald Trump said half of the things Louis Farrakhan has said about Jews, they would crucify him and he'd be dead. He would not only be impeached, he'd be up on the cross, okay?
You know, I don't really know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I've met Louis Farrakhan
A dirty
before.
religion. Jews are a dirty religion. You never heard that one?
I've heard that comment. I don't know the context of what
could
he
be
said.
the-
I
what's
don't
the
know.
positive comment?
I really don't know.
Okay.
Jeff,
Enough
help
of
me.
that. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, help me there.
Okay, we'll go on. Because I don't want to spend the show on that. We'll come back and talk about that. I want to bring you to the current. We only got about, I don't know, probably 15 minutes. Lost track here. Okay? We're here in Chicago. We're taping the show on November 1. In 5 days, there's going to be an election. Well, this will probably air after the election. So let's go right past the governor's election. The hot thing after November 6th is the mayor's election. Mayor of the city of Chicago. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We got some big names. What are the big names that come to mind who are running in that race?
Oh, Tony Preckwinkle is the biggest name.
The biggest
I
name?
think.
Let's reel off the top 4 or 5
Bill Daley,
in your view.
William
Okay.
Daley is
Well,
another.
who are the top 4 or 5 likely to win?
Oh, I can't. I think that if you look,
Who do you
if
think
you
people would
handicap
say?
the race,
Yeah.
and you look at the tangibles,
Yeah.
you have to say that President Preckwinkle, president of the Cook County Board,
She's up there.
who is also the chairman of the Democratic Party, she will have a certain structural advantage when it comes to reaching the 50 wards in the state, because most of those wards are the committee man in most of those wards is the alderman.
That's a machine. That is the
Yeah.
old Daley machine. Richard J. Daley, Richard M. Daley, Rahm Emanuel.
But she's gonna
Tony
get-
is the 4th Daley.
Okay, she
If
is
Rahm
going
was
to
the
get,
3rd, right?
She is going to get her signatures. There is no question
Oh,
in my
of
mind
course.
about that. She can do that just working
Okay.
through the party structure.
Okay, who's number 2 now?
But then,
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
she is going to pull a full-out effort to remove people from the ballot. She's going to cull the herd. What are there, 17, 18 contenders out there?
Yeah.
She's going to cull the
Well,
herd.
we can start culling.
particularly of the African-American
Oh,
candidates.
she's going to get them to leave.
She's going to challenge their signatures.
Oh, count the safe.
She's going to challenge signatures
So
like you wouldn't believe.
Like Lori Lightfoot, she's going to get challenged?
Lori
Because
Lightfoot
Lori said
conceivably could get challenged, but I think that you're going to find people like
Amara.
Amara, her signatures are
Yeah.
going to be challenged.
She may not- yeah.
You are going to find people like
Dorothy
J.
Brown?
Mal Green or the black
Dorothy
candidates.
Brown?
And some
Willie
of the-
Wilson?
Absolutely. You know, there was
They are bits of a threat. They could
there
get
was
5-10%
math done,
of the vote.
and I'm going to be very careful
Yeah.
in repeating this story, that if all 17 candidates were able to get the 12,500 valid signatures,
Right.
there would be more people to sign petitions at that point than there would be people who voted in the last election.
It's a mathematical impossibility for all of them to be on the ballot. is
So
what
the
you're
other,
telling
I
me.
think they're also, and I'm not going to go into
Possibly, yeah,
detail.
yeah.
There could also be some residency situations that are involved in this as well.
Okay.
But I think that the party, the machine, is going to make a full-out effort to cull the herd. And I think that President Preckwinkle, although her name won't
Okay.
be on the challenges, it will be the party that does it. I think Tony Preckwinkle, if she culls the herd enough, would hope to win on a first ballot.
Hope to win
Hope to
if
win
she
on the
does
first
enough. So like Gary McCarthy, the former police cop, somebody would say
Mm-hmm.
he's number 2. He's got a following out there. His name is known as the former cop. Cops may like him. Firemen may like him. He may be sort of like the law and order white guy, the northwest side of the city where teachers live and police live and
Gary
fire
McCarthy
live.
has a
He's not like the Inglewood guy.
He's got a great narrative
Yeah.
for a campaign. It's built in. Former police superintendent, he's got a narrative that's going to play well in the 19th Ward, which is the most heavily voted ward in the city, and on the northwest side, and to a certain extent in Lincoln Park, where you've had people with the crime sort of bleeding into these gentrified white areas.
Crime skyrocketed when he left.
Well,
he got a point.
but
It was
he-
like 500 murders in Chicago a year
He's
in
got a-
2015. 2016, it goes to 720.
He's got a
like,
built-in
what happened?
narrative.
What happened? Yeah.
He's got a built-in narrative to support a campaign. His
Yeah.
problem will be getting money to run the campaign.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think
The
Bill
corporate
Daley,
people won't like him enough
I think
to
Bill
do it.
Daley is going to be able to get money because I think he's got
He's
a
a
lot
Daley
of
guy,
contacts.
yeah.
He's a Daley.
Yeah.
But I think Gary McCarthy, money's going to be key here.
For everybody?
And another key here is
Yeah.
going to be if J.B. Pritzker won the governor's office.
Well,
because I think
is
that
he going to win for sure? We're here on November 1. November 6th is the election. Make a flat-out prediction. Would you say it's like 100 to 1 that
if it's
JB
100
win?
to 1,
Give
I
me
just
the
think
odds. 10 to how
he's
likely?
the
is it?
odds-on favorite
To win by
right
how
now.
much?
I could live to regret this,
Yeah.
Governor, but he is right now the odds-on favorite to win the governor's race.
Okay.
And if he does,
If he
but
does.
my point,
Yeah.
if he does,
Okay.
he's going to weigh in. He, as governor-elect of Illinois,
He's gonna
is
pick-
going to weigh in on who is going to be in charge of the largest
Officially-
city in the state.
Officially, he'll endorse? Or
I
just-
don't think
or
he has
behind
to
the
do it
scenes?
officially.
Just
behind the scenes,
people will know who he's
He'll
working
start
for.
twisting some arms
Yeah.
about, hey, aren't you going to help my friend out?
Well,
And
he
sort
could
of
just
thing?
give as much as he wants because Willie blew the limits when he gave 100,000, didn't he?
He would never do that.
No, but he
I don't
could
think
if
I
he
don't
wants to
think
write a
would do
check.
it. I don't think he would do it.
It looked like he's buying it.
Yeah, he just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be bad politics.
It'd be crass.
But I think he could
Point of
certainly call certain funders and say, look, I'm the governor of the state. I will be the governor of the state shortly. Can you help out so-and-so?
Because he would be good. He would work well with me. He is the
Absolutely.
mayor
And don't
of
give that
the city of Chicago.
and if you-
He is I'm the governor. We're a team.
And when you got a governor with a $55 billion budget and you're a contractor, you're a
You want to help? You want to do what JB says?
Yeah. Are you a social
You want one of
services
those
person?
contracts?
Yeah. Are you a social services
It's
person?
Chicago. It's the Chicago way.
It's the Chicago
It's the
way.
Chicago
Got it.
way.
Got it. So I think he's going to weigh in, and I think that's going to be very
Okay.
important as well.
What about Paul Vallis? How's he looking?
I think he looked better before President Preckwinkle, before Rahm quit. I think his politics are going to have to be different now because he's out there against a lot of people he did not expect to run against. People ran against Rahm because all the numbers suggested Rahm could not be reelected.
Right.
They jumped in the race. But now that Rahm's gone, it's a whole new
But now he
ballgame.
says he can get money. Paul says now he can get money. When Rahm was in there, all the money was tied up to Rahm, and so he couldn't. Now he says he can do it, and he said, sitting where you said, he said to me, I said, who you're running against? He said, after Rahm got out, I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for. He's running for, like he's the guy who's taken large organizations like CPS and made them better. And he says, this is what we need.
But the
So
full
has
weight,
Tony done that to
but
Cook
now,
County?
but
Has
now
she done
the
that?
full
Okay.
weight and fury
Yeah.
of the Cook County Regular Democratic Party is in play. I mean, Tony Preckwinkle is chairman of the party,
She's got it, yeah.
and she is going to be able to leverage that, I believe, into making herself the
What
front
about
runner.
Gary Chico? You know Gary. You saw him in
Gary,
2004. He
I
ran
think,
he ran in 2004 in the
he
Democratic
ran
primary
as
against
a-
Barack.
he ran
in
as-
2011
Yeah, but
against
see,
Rahm.
I think Gary Chico is too close to Ed Burke at this point.
Too close.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that he
Couldn't
is
that
not,
help him? Couldn't help?
I think
Couldn't
that
that be a
since
plus?
there has been a resurgence of Latino political power
Yeah. Oh.
in this city.
So the Latinos don't like him because he's too close to Burke?
No, because he's not from the
Latino community? He's not authentically Latino, you're going to say? My good friend Gary Chico?
You're saying these things?
No, I'm asking you. Are
I
you
don't
saying
know.
it?
I don't
That was
know.
a
You're saying-
there's a question mark.
But
There's
I
a
think that
question-
there's a
It sounds like you're
new-
saying that.
There's a new, I think, political force in the Latino community, and I don't think that Gary Chico is positioned really to take advantage of that.
But he's the.
I think that you have.
Susanna Mendoza going to come in and do
don't
that?
know.
Is she,
That's a
is
good
she,
question.
Is she
I
closer?
think she's very close to Mike Madigan, and I don't think that will help her.
Okay. Is she
in
close
long
to the
term.
community in a way that Gary isn't? The Latino community? Are
No,
you saying that?
She's from Bolingbrook.
Okay. So there is nobody. So couldn't Gary say, I'm closest in
He
this
could.
group? I'm closest.
He could.
He's certainly closer than Paul.
He could. I
He's
think-
certainly closer than Tony.
I think you gotta
He's certainly
look-
closer than Gary.
I think
This
you
would be
gotta
my
look-
argument if I'm Gary.
You got to look at people like Luis Gutierrez
Oh, yeah, who's Luis
to
gonna-
Chuy Garcia.
who are they gonna get behind?
To my brother up in Arroyo, not the commissioner, but his dad,
Yeah.
the state rep. You got to look to those guys to see who they support in the Latino community before you say who will the Latinos support.
You don't think Gary can get those people to support him?
I don't think he comes from the same cloth.
Okay. So Dorothy Brown, Willie Wilson, they got a shot? Willie got 10% last time. He's authentically black, right? They used to
Yeah,
say Brock,
absolutely.
they used to say Brock initially wasn't authentically black.
I didn't say that. You said that.
No,
I never said
Did
that.
you ever hear people say that?
Yes.
When he was running for
Yes.
president. I'm not saying it was true.
Yes.
I'm not saying
When
it's
he was
true.
running for the
Senate.
and for
Yeah.
Congress.
Right, anything.
Yeah.
Why-
I've heard people
what
say
do,
that.
What do they mean by that when they say that? Because these are some people in the black community who you may know better than I.
Well, but I don't know why.
What do you
I
think
never
they
said
would mean?
that.
I know,
mean,
but what do you think they meant when Black said Barack wasn't authentically black when he was running against Bobby Rush in 2000, when he was running in the Democratic primary in 2003, which, by the way, he blew
I think it
everybody
was all
away.
I think
He
it was
got
all-
55%, so
it was
I
all
guess
political
he was.
rhetoric.
It was
just
just-
ways
okay.
that people thought
Okay.
they could somehow
Okay.
chip away at his political being.
Okay, so we only got probably, it looks like, a few minutes left. In 2 minutes.
This has gone fast.
It's gone fast. Good show. I think because of you. So what did we miss? What did I talk over you when I shouldn't have? What would you like to say in the last 2 minutes?
I don't think anything will really change in Chicago until new voters, I'm speaking the city election, until new voters make their presence known. And I see efforts at this point with Chance the Rapper supporting Amara Inya.
Yeah.
That is a not so subtle effort to involve young people in the election. And that is critical. If there's going to be change in how things are done in this city, a lot of the new people who have moved into the West Loop, South Loop, the so-called
Wesley, yeah, they're the
the new techies,
the millennials,
the millennials.
millennials.
Yeah, they are going to have to
People
engage.
34 and younger.
Yeah,
okay?
they're going to have to engage. Black
They
as
could
well
be
as
they
white
could be the
as well as
swing
Latino.
vote. Those folks could swing
Those
that
people
vote.
have to present themselves as a
Okay.
political force
Okay.
because right now it's all tied up in the.
So I want to
20%
remind folks
voter
the new
turnout.
change. We're going to interact more. So if you've got thoughts, we're going to hope to have Gary Chico on. We're going to hope to have Nellie Vasquez Rowland from ASH from A Safe Haven on. We're going to hope to have Mark Glennon from WirePoints. Look those people up, know who they are. Send me your questions, put your first name and initial. I'll use it. You want to put your last name? We're going to interact. Hey, a change is coming.
Only if
remember that
new
phrase?
people begin to participate in this city. And right now, if you depend on the 20-30% that the aldermen can turn out, nothing will change.
I begged Amara to come on 3 months ago, and they said she wasn't going to come yet. And then I just begged a few days ago. So Amara, here's an open invitation. It's your chance. So to
Okay,
speak.
outta here.
Okay. All right. And you come back next week and every week to Public Affairs.